What's up, desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and in this video I'm discussing, is Keone Pearson scaring competitors from the 212 to the Open at the 2022 Texas Pro? Hunter Labrada ramping things up for the 2022 Mr Olympia? Do we have a 212 threat about to turn pro? Arnold UK director pleads guilty to several charges, plus physique updates from Iain Valliere, Fitzwater, Quinton Eriya, plus much more. All that coming up in this video, guys. I hope you enjoy it. What's up, desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding. Now, before I get into this one, I want to encourage you guys, if you like and appreciate this content, please give this video a thumbs up, smash that like button, also subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up from myself, Xavier Wills at Desktop Bodybuilding. Now, let's launch straight into this one, and we're going to start with Keone Pearson, about 6.5 weeks out of that Texas Pro where he's doing the 212. It's come out that he's actually being coached by Patrick Tuor as well. And Patrick Tuor is known for getting guys in condition. And that's sort of been Keone's, I suppose, the knock against him, really. Some people say maybe his legs a little bit, but his legs look to have come up considerably and they look to match almost his upper body now. It's more just the conditioning factor for Keone Pearson. If he can bring it in really, really tight without completely flattening out, then he is going to do very, very well in the 212, not only in these smaller shows, but also at the Olympia. I'm a big believer in Keone Pearson, and if he nails it 100%, he is very, very dangerous on that 212 Olympia stage. But first, he's obviously got to qualify, and he's doing the Texas Pro, so I think he'll do very well there. And it seems like after seeing these recent physique updates, Ahmed Wardany, who's done very well in the 212s as well, he's done the 212 Olympia, he actually might be moving to Open, because he put up this post and said 212 or Open, and then the Texas Pro Battle Up Productions, their Instagram, shared it over on their page. So obviously he's doing that show in 6.5 weeks time, and he may be up against the likes of Steve Kuclo, Fitzwater, Quinton Eriya, and many others if he actually decides to jump into the Open. But he's obviously seeing Keone Pearson doing that 212, and he may be changing his mind. And by this recent physique update, Ahmed Wardany is looking damn impressive. When he opens up into that front double bicep, he looks like he's actually packed on a good amount of size. So I'm very impressed by his physique. He's very aesthetic. When he stands next to some of the mass monsters, I remember seeing a photo of him and Hassan Mustafa side by side. Now, obviously, Hassan is absolutely enormous, but it really did show the size difference, and that Ahmed is actually a smaller guy when he stands next to other people. But I love his physique. I thought that he's actually almost a little bit underrated last year, and I was just a huge fan of what he brought to the stage. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Would it be a smart move or a bad move for Ahmed Wardany to make the move from 212 to Open? Let me know what you think in the comments below about that. And yeah, next story, we're discussing Hunter Labrada, who posted up this video looking pretty damn impressive 6 months out of that 2022 Mr Olympia. And he put up the caption with it: "First 2 days back in the gym after a 2-week deload have been nothing short of amazing. Looking forward to attacking these next 8 weeks before the O prep starts with a fresh mind and body." So he's probably doing the smartest thing, honestly. He looked great at Pittsburgh Pro guest posing, but he sort of was overshadowed a little bit by Derek Lunsford and Nick Walker. But I think Hunter came in great condition that guest posing. He did himself no disservice because he looked fantastic, but I don't even think he's at the peak of his sort of like mass gaining off season. I think that's what he's going into now. He's done that 2-week deload where he probably sort of came off a few things, or at least tapered down, and just took his health more seriously. He said he wasn't concentrating on just smashing copious amounts of food, but as we know, Hunter Labrada has to eat a ton of food when he's trying to gain mass, so he'd be back on a really, really high calorie diet now, I'm assuming, and he's going to try to really gain some mass in this next 8 weeks, and then he'll go straight into his Olympia prep. But by his conditioning, he's not going to have to do a ton of work during his prep. He's probably still going to eat a ton of calories during his whole prep, if we know Hunter Labrada's metabolism, and I think he's going to do very, very well with this 2022 Mr Olympia. He was sort of talked about in a lot of ways after that Olympia in a negative sense, because he placed 4th, and people are forgetting that he actually is a 4th place Mr Olympia finisher from last year. And I think everyone thought that Nick Walker maybe should have placed ahead of him, or a bunch of people thought that, and he'll be looking for redemption coming up. And it's actually funny because he's been training with Nick Walker at least one training session. They posted up a photo, and they look very, very comparable. They both look great right now, and I think that they're only going to get better going into this 2022 Mr Olympia. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you think Hunter Labrada will do at the 2022 Mr Olympia, and will he actually beat Nick Walker at that Mr Olympia once again? Because they're almost building a nice little sort of friendly rivalry at the same time as well. In our next story, we're discussing the Arnold UK director who has pled guilty in court and will be sentenced in August. His name's Stephen Olakswich. Now, I don't know if that's the exact way to pronounce it, but that's what I'm going with. He actually said this after I made a video when Arnold UK was sort of up in the air whether it was actually going to be held or not. I basically reported what was already out there and what Evolution of Bodybuilding put up on their website. He posted this under my video. He said, not correct. And I believe it's him as well, by the Experience With, which is the company I believe he owns. It says, not correct. You need to take this down. Your facts are all wrong. Arnold and Two Bros just announced that this event is happening. Stop spreading slander. So obviously I left that video up there as well. I was basically reporting on an article posted by Evolution of Bodybuilding. And it was sort of true because I had a look on the website of Two Bros Pros, and the Arnold UK was all taken off there. There was going to be an announcement of another event and all that sort of stuff. But it seems like they patched things up with the Arnold people, and Two Bros Pros took over the bodybuilding event again, and they're putting on that Arnold Classic UK. It doesn't appear to be in any sort of jeopardy right now. And I hope it stays that way as well for these Arnold UK competitors. Now, this is what was said online. I'll post the link to the article in the description below. It says, Stephen Olakswich, 39, appeared at Leeds Crown Court on Monday to stand trial for a number of offences, but pled guilty at the 11th hour. Olakswich of Town ING Way, Stainland in Halifax, pled guilty to acting as a director while bankrupt, 2 counts of obtaining services dishonestly, and 2 counts of fraud in anticipation of winding up. I don't know what that anticipation of winding up means. I'm sure there's plenty of people can let us know in the comments below. But it seems like obviously he's going to be sentenced in August, and we'll find out what's sort of happening then, whether he's going to jail or whatever's happening. I have no idea how serious these charges are. I mean, they sound pretty serious, but I don't know if it's sort of a jailable offence. Let me know in the comments below what you guys know about this and the legal system over there in the UK. But it seems like Two Bros Pros are taking care of the Arnold Classic UK, and it appears that it'll go ahead as normal. But if you have any extra information, let me know in the comments below or send me a DM on Instagram. Now let's get on to a few physique updates. And the first one is from Quinton Eriya, who's competing in that Texas Pro, and he's looking absolutely outrageous. I cannot wait to see what he looks like on stage this year. He looks like he's got a certain extra level of fullness compared to what he had last year. It seemed like last year he sort of grew quite quick after his gyno surgery, got really big, and then it seemed like the muscle maybe wasn't solidified for long enough on his physique. He still looked fantastic, still placed second at a pro show, almost qualified for the 2022 Olympia, and many people actually believe he should have. I actually thought that he was actually going to win that show against Joel Thomas. It wasn't to be, but he's come back with a vengeance because he is looking fantastic. He has perhaps the most aesthetic, or one of the most aesthetic physiques in the IFBB Pro League, including Classic as well. And look at this one. This was after a chest and bicep workout, and if he can bring, 3/4 of this level of fullness to the stage with razor sharp conditioning, he is going to take out shows, and he can definitely win that 2022 Texas Pro, but he'll have some very, very stiff competition, as I mentioned earlier. And someone that seems like he's been training with lately is Rickey Moten, who's looking fantastic in his basically his progression of switching from classic physique to the 212s. You'll have to watch out for him in 2022 because he could definitely qualify for the 2022 Olympia based on how he's looking in his recent physique updates, and the gains he has made has been absolutely incredible. So cannot wait to see Rickey Moten on that 212 stage as well. Now, some more physique updates from Canada, and this one is from Iain Valliere. I think a lot of people have seen this side tricep shot that Ian put up at about 3 weeks out of the Vancouver Pro. This was also posted up today by Patrick Tour on his story, and that's Ian basically hitting a front lat spread, looking very, very impressive. Seems like his condition is pretty much on point for being this far out. Seems like he's just got to get a little bit sharper, and then he'll be ready to step on stage. And then he posted up the mirror ab shot as well, where he's looking pretty impressive. It seems like he's just got a little bit more conditioning to go. It's probably a little bit of water, a little bit of fat there, but not much. And it seems like he's right on track to bring it at that Vancouver Pro. But let me know what you think in the comments below about these physique updates. And the next one is from a man that I'm actually doing a podcast with. I think in about 11 hours or 10 hours from now, I'm actually recording the first ever episode. I'll be up at 6 a.m. and I'm recording it with Nathan Dasher, Martin Fitzwater, who's the man here that I'm talking about, and also Brett Wilkin. And we're on like 4 different time zones. So it's going to be pretty hectic, and hopefully it all pans out and the internet works and everything like that. But Martin Fitzwater is looking very good at his recent guest posing over the weekend at the Branch Warren Classic. I'm super impressed. This dude is only 25 years of age, I believe. And, he's looking like a legit IFBB pro that's going to do damage this year as well. In terms of his conditioning, this was actually 7 weeks out, I believe, of that Texas Pro. I think it's right on point. He looks like he's holding a little bit of fat and probably more water than anything, to be honest. He's actually being prepped by Branch Warren, which I'll actually ask Martin about a little bit more on our new podcast on that first episode. I'm going to get into how his prep's actually going as well. So we'll talk all about all that sort of stuff. And if you guys have questions for that podcast, you have to get them in quick, probably within about 8 hours from this video being released. Head over to the Desktop Bodybuilding Instagram page or head to the Desktop Bodybuilding community tab and you can ask your questions there that will be featured on the podcast. But let me know how you think Martin Fitzwater is looking right now at 7 weeks out at that 2022 Texas Pro. Now moving on to one guy who could be a threat in the 212 straight off the bat. He basically took his first step inside the NPC. He's been competing in the PCA. His name is Dean White. He won the Graftism Grand Prix. He's actually coached by Ben Chow, who's on Fluid Abad's channel all the time. This guy, honestly, he looks like a legit 212 contender from the get-go. Like, he looks absolutely incredible. He's been a PCA pro. He's done very well over in that federation. And as you can see here, him being awarded the overall by Samson Dowder, who actually guest posed there as well. And I'll try to find a little bit of footage from that because he's looking absolutely enormous. Apparently at 315 pounds. So this guy's obviously a 212 competitor, and he still looks pretty damn impressive standing next to Samson Dowder. But really, when you look at this guy's physique updates, any of the recent ones, he doesn't really have many weaknesses, if any. Like, he's really balanced head to toe. Maybe you could say he needs a little bit more chest. I'm only seeing the back lat spread here, so maybe if he hits a back double, maybe his back might not be quite as impressive, but overall, very, very impressive, this guy's physique. Maybe you could use a little bit more adductor or something like that, that back shot, but really that's nitpicking because he's got a nice aesthetic physique, balance, he's got a lot of muscle, and he looks like he brings great conditioning. So I cannot wait to see Dean White turn pro and then compete in the pros as a 212 competitor because he is going to do extremely well in my predictions. And the last story I want to mention before I wrap this video up is I actually did my last bodybuilding news video. I was meant to mention Lee Priest and his recent physique updates because he was looking crazy. I actually cut a little bit out of the podcast that I mucked up, and I cut out that whole story where I talked about Lee Priest. But here are the recent physique updates, and he's looking absolutely nuts. He went over to America. I heard that he's actually walking around the whole day and not eating and all that sort of stuff. So it shows Lee Priest's genetics, how crazy they are. This guy can actually, if I walk around for 1 or 2 days and don't eat much, I lose like 6 kilos and look like an insect. I look like an insect at the moment anyway because I'm very, very thin. But he just seems to retain muscle and actually get bigger doing that sort of stuff. So absolutely crazy. He's been super consistent, obviously, over the years with his training. But the way he's looking right now, he looks like he could make a comeback. He looks absolutely sensational. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Would you like to see Lee Priest make a comeback to the bodybuilding stage at like a Masters Olympia or a 212 or something like that? Because it doesn't seem like he will by what he said. But I'm actually doing an episode of Dare to Ask Lee Priest on RX Muscle, recording it tomorrow, it'll be out in a couple of days, and I'll quiz him a little bit on that and ask him, is he making a comeback to the bodybuilding stage? But that's it for this video, guys. If you guys like and appreciate this content, please give this video a thumbs up, smash that like button, also subscribe, and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up from myself, Xavier Wills at Desktop Bodybuilding. So for Xavier Wills, Desktop Bodybuilding, we are out.